time for story time. I better take my pinny off. I'm busy making pancakes. Did you know it's Pancake Day today? One of my favourite days of the year. I love pancakes. But sometimes I'm not always this organised. And it might be the end of the week before I have a pancake. So don't worry if you don't have a pancake today. A moment ago I had a peep in the Storytime basket, and there's a really good story about pancakes, but it's a little bit longer than our usual stories, so I thought maybe we could have the story first and some songs afterwards. Is everybody happy with that? Fantastic. I'll get the storybook out of the basket then. This was the storybook I was telling you about. It's one of my favourites. It's called Mr. Wolf's Pancakes, and it's by Jan Fernley. And not only has Jan written the story, but she's also drawn the illustrations too. Wow! So it's a big thank you to Jan, and also a big thank you to Egmont Publishers for allowing us to use this book at Storytime. Thank you. One day, Mr. Wolf was feeling hungry. He fancied some pancakes. Yum, yum, he said, licking his lips at the thought of a pile of fresh, delicious pancakes. Mr. Wolf had never made pancakes before, so he took his big recipe book off the shelf and looked inside. But wolves can't read very well, and Mr. Wolf had trouble making sense of it. So he went to get some help from his neighbours. He called on Chicken Licken, who lived nearby. "Please, can you help me read this?" he asked. "No," said Chicken Licken, slamming the door in Mr. Wolf's face. Bang! Oh dear, sighed Mr. Wolf. He sat down, slowly read the book, and worked out what he needed, all by himself. Mr. Wolf looked in his cupboard for the ingredients, but he couldn't find anything that he needed. "I'll go to the shop," he decided, and he settled down to write a list. But wolves aren't very good at writing, so Mr. Wolf called on Wee Willie Winkie. "You're very clever," said Mr. Wolf. "Can you help me write a shopping list?" "No," said Wee Willie Winkie. "Go away." He slammed his door. Bang! "There's no need to be like that," said Mr. Wolf quietly. Mr. Wolf sat down and tried very hard with his writing until he made his shopping list, all by himself. Now, he needed to count his money to make sure he had enough. But wolves aren't very good at counting. So he went to see the gingerbread man for some help. "Can you help me count my money, please?" he asked politely. "No, I'm too busy to bother with you," said the gingerbread man, slamming the door. Bang! So poor Mr. Wolf had to sit down and count his money. Oh, it took him a long time, and he had to check it 3 times to make sure it was right. But he did it, all by himself. Mr. Wolf needed a basket to carry his shopping, So he called on Little Red Riding Hood. "Please, may I borrow your basket?" he asked very nicely. "I'm not lending my basket to you," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Now clear off." So Mr. Wolf set off to the shop without a basket. "I'll manage," he said. Mr. Wolf went to the shop. He looked at his list, remembered what he needed, counted out his money, and carried his eggs, milk and flour home, all by himself. Now it was time to make the pancakes. But wolves are not very good at cooking, so Mr. Wolf called on the 3 little pigs. "Please, can you help me cook my pancakes? I'll share them with you," he said kindly. "No chance," chorused the 3 little pigs, slamming their doors. Bang, bang, bang. Mr. Wolf felt sad because nobody wanted to help him. Mr. Wolf went home and started to make the pancakes, all by himself. Soon there was a huge pile of delicious pancakes on the table, all ready for eating. Now, as Mr. Wolf had been making his pancakes, a lovely smell had drifted out of the kitchen. All of the neighbours could smell it, and it made them feel very hungry. They wanted some pancakes too. They decided to try their luck. So they knocked on Mr. Wolf's door. "Give us some of your pancakes," said the rotten lot. "Why should I give any to you?" said Mr. Wolf. "Not one of you would help me." "We'll help you eat them," replied Mr. Wolf's neighbours nastily. "Anyway, we're not going away until you give us some." Mr. Wolf thought very hard for a moment. There was only one decent thing to do. "Oh, very well then," he sighed. "You had better come in." Mr. Wolf opened the door wide and whoosh! His greedy neighbours rudely pushed him aside and dashed down the hall. Mr. Wolf shook his head, shrugged his shoulders, followed them into the kitchen, and when they were all in, what's going to happen? Mr. Wolf gobbled them up, snippety snappety, and that was the end of his unhelpful neighbours. And then, with his bulging tummy not quite full, Mr. Wolf sat down to eat his pile of pancakes. And he did it all by himself. Well, there was nobody else around. What a fantastic story. Did the ending surprise you? It surprised me. But remember, it's only a story. It's all for fun. Nothing to worry about. Can you remember how Mr. Wolf made his pancakes? I've got a rhyme about making pancakes just for today. Are you ready? There's some actions too. Mix a pancake, stir a pancake, pour it in a pan, fry the pancake, toss the pancake, catch it if you can. Should I say it one more time? Mix the pancake, stir a pancake, pour it in a pan, fry the pancake, toss the pancake, catch it if you can. I love eating pancakes, but there's something else I also enjoy. Jelly! Can you remember jelly on a plate? Should we do some wibbly wobbling? You might want to stand up for this. Are we ready? Jelly on a plate, jelly on a plate, a wibble wobble, jelly on a plate. Should I sing it again? Are we ready? Jelly on a plate, jelly on a plate, a wibble wobble, jelly on a plate. And what about popcorn in a dish? Popcorn in a dish, popcorn in a dish, pop, 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 popcorn in a dish. If you've got a shaker, go and get a shaker, and I'll get my kettle, and we can sing Polly Put the Kettle On. All this talk about food is making me thirsty. Have you got your shakers? If you haven't got a shaker, just clap along. Polly put the kettle on, Polly put the kettle on, Polly put the kettle on, we'll all have tea. Suki, take it off again, Suki, take it off again, Suki, take it off again, they've all gone away. Can you remember the teapot song? Stand up again, nice and straight. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle and here's my spout. When I see the teacups, hear me shout. Tip me up and pour me out. Should I do that one more time? I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle and here's my spout. When I see the teacups, hear me shout. Tip me up and pour me out. I think we've got time for one last song. I bet you know what it's going to be. So get your shakers again. And let's make lots of noise. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. Well done, everybody. Bye, everybody. See you next week.